Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making a Christmas mug using a stainless steel mug from the Steel Magnolia. There will be a link and discount code in the description if you like the style of this mug. So all of this glossiness that you see is a protective finish that is designed to protect the stainless steel. So for people who walk around with naked tumblers with no glitter on them, that is why they have this glossy finish, because it's protecting the stainless steel. So it can act as a repellent, right? So that's why in my personal opinion and the way that I do my tumblers, I think it's very important to prep your tumbler. So what you want to do is you want to take a sanding block and you want to scuff it up and remove that protective finish, because you want your epoxy and your glitter to really adhere to your tumbler. And so you want to make sure that you remove that protective finish and just prep the tumbler properly to get it ready for your glitter. So we're gonna go ahead and just sand it and remove that polish finish really quickly. Do 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 do. So once you have that completely done, we're gonna take a paper towel and a little bit of alcohol, rubbing alcohol. I have 91% rubbing alcohol right here. So I'm just gonna take a little bit and just remove all of that residue. See, we're gonna remove all of that residue that we just sanded off of our tumbler. Okay, here it is. As you can see, it doesn't look as shiny anymore. It looks all scuffed up. And as always, I am gonna use prime time to prep my tumbler because I'm impatient, so I like to do things fast. Now, I've had this in my lap the whole time. Okay, so what we're gonna use is, I like to use scrapbook paper for everything. I like to use scrapbook paper to catch my glitter, to catch anything. That way I can keep my table protected. So I buy these huge books, or you can buy the scrapbook paper individually, but I think it's more expensive to buy it individually. So I have a couple of more things. So I've got this little container right here. It has warm water and soap, just dish soap. And this is what I do to keep my brushes looking really nice. As soon as I'm done with using a brush, I immediately put it in here. Now, I do want to show you guys something that the Steel Magnolia offers, just in case you don't want to have to prep or you go through lots of tumblers. They do sell pre-prepped tumblers, okay? And as you can see, they already come ready to go. This has already been pre-prepped, and you can just go ahead and go right into using these. The ones that are pre-prepped, you don't have to sand or do anything. You can just immediately pull it out of the box and use it. So that's a really convenient feature for them to have. I have a mixture of prepped and not prepped, but for the sake of this tutorial, I am gonna use a non-prepped so that I can show you how I prep. So, also you guys, I'm a really messy crafter, so please forgive me. But basically, I have a little medicine cup right here, and I'm gonna take my prime time. Now, please remember, I am a very messy crafter, so I'm literally just going to open my prime time and pour a little bit into this container so that we can start getting our tumbler prepped. Okay, there we go. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint the whole tumbler white. I'm gonna paint the whole tumbler white and then let it dry, and then we're gonna come back in here and we are gonna add that darker color that we need to add for that night sky that we're gonna add, because the tumbler that I'm gonna teach you guys how to make today is gonna be a really, really, really cute Christmas nighttime, like reindeer and Santa sleigh in the sky. So we're gonna need a starry sky, a starry nighttime sky. So I'm just gonna prep the entire tumbler white right now, but once this dries, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna prep the top part of the tumbler a little bit darker, just to really pick up those dark glitter colors that we're gonna use on it. And I will be right back. Please enjoy this little time lapse. Today's music is brought to you by mayramakesit. I said certified glitter, 7 days a week. Wet ass prime time makes that glitter really stick. Sony Entertainment, I'm available. I can do this in a remix for you if you would like me to. I said certified crafter, 7 days a week. Using my blow dryer makes my prime time really dry. Okay, so for the most part, it's mostly dry. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take some dispersion colors from CCDIY. I'm taking Ebony and Blue Thunder, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix these into my prime time, because now what I wanna do is I wanna darken up my base for that night sky, because if I try to apply those dark, I'm just gonna pour some, oops, you can't see. I'm just gonna pour a little bit in here. What I wanna do is I wanna darken up my, my sky now, and if I want those colors that I'm gonna apply of glitter to really like pop, I need to have a darker base. If I were to try to apply like my black, purple, and all those glitters, if I were to try to apply those over a white base, I would have to do multiple coats. Oops. We want to avoid doing multiple coats of glitter, because the thicker the cup is, the more epoxy it's going to take to get that full coverage. So that's why it's important to try to get your base color to match your glitter color, so that you don't have to do all of that, those extra layers of epoxy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pour a little bit of that dark base onto my little paper plate here. And I also have this textured sponge from Walmart. These come in a little pack. You can get these on Amazon. What I'm gonna do, because I don't want this to be perfectly like a line in the middle, I'm just gonna basically take this and kind of start to dab like where my sky is gonna go, okay? So as you can see, okay, and what this is gonna do is it's gonna give me a really nice base, but without having to completely have that like straight line where you're like, okay, well, there's a straight line where the sky starts and the snow starts. I want it to be like more cohesive and flow naturally. And I'm really excited. I came up with this idea the other night and I was like, oh my gosh, how cool. Santa usually comes at night. So what I want to do is I want to create this really beautiful nighttime sky and do like these gorgeous glitters to imitate what the sky would look like on that starry night, and just kind of make a really beautiful scenery. And then we're gonna put pine trees in here, and then we're gonna go ahead and put, once we get epoxy on it, we're gonna go ahead and get a nice SVG of some reindeer and Santa's sleigh going through the sky. I think that's gonna look really beautiful. So I'm really excited for that. Just wanna bring that nighttime sky down just a little bit longer. I'm hoping this turns out exactly how I envisioned it, because I'm really taking a risk just filming this like in real time, but you know, I'm hopeful. So right now what I'm doing, you guys, is I'm just blending out these edges right here, just to make sure that you don't have like a straight line and you're like, oh wow, see? So it's not perfect, but it does flow a little bit more cohesively to where that night sky is gonna meet the snow. Okay, so I'm gonna set this aside for now. And by that I mean toss it in the trash, because we're done with it. Now I'm just gonna hit this with my blow dryer to let it completely dry, and then we're gonna go ahead and move on to how we're gonna apply our glitter. We're at the part where we're gonna add our glitter, and I'm really excited about this part because this is the part where we're gonna add our sky, okay? Now I don't know how these colors are gonna look together, but I'm thinking it's gonna be okay. So I am gonna use Selena, I'm gonna use Purple Haze, I'm gonna use Obsidian, which honestly, I'm gonna go the heaviest on this one, and I'm gonna use Dori. I am gonna also use Opal Daydream for the snow. But I'm gonna go ahead and for right now, mainly focus on laying my sky down. And then once I have that, I can come back in and focus on putting the white snow down here, because I don't want it to get contaminated. Now I am gonna use UV resin to apply my glitter. It's right here. And the reason I'm gonna use UV resin is because it gives me a little bit of a longer work time. If I were to apply actual epoxy to apply my glitter, I would have to wait a couple of hours before I can move on to my next step. But by using just a little bit of UV resin to apply my glitter, I can immediately put this under a UV light and cure it and then move right onto the snow. So that's the method I'm gonna use today. I'm gonna put on a glove, okay? And then I am gonna take my UV resin and I am basically, you know, I'm gonna put a glove on my other hand just so that I don't get UV resin all over my nails. I don't usually have nice nails, but I do right now, so I don't wanna mess them up. Okay, so I'm gonna put my gloves on and then I'm just gonna take my UV resin. Actually, I can totally hold my cup from the bottom because I am not gonna be applying anything to the white part yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pour my UV resin. And remember, anytime that you are applying glitter, you always want very thin coats. So first I'm gonna apply this UV resin and see how much coverage I could get with that small amount I used, and then I'll come back and add more as needed. But basically what I'm doing here is I am just taking my gloved finger and I am getting the UV resin in those areas where the sky is gonna go. See, you can see how it's a little bit wet, and you can also see that it's a very thin coat. The prime time is absorbing a little bit of that UV resin, which is why I'm having to use just a little bit more. But even then, we probably are not even at a full milliliter. We're not at a full milliliter yet. So I am gonna go ahead and just keep spreading this out. And remember guys, you don't wanna get too much of this UV resin on the white part because that's the part that we're gonna come back in a little bit and add our white snow. So right now we're just kind of focusing on the areas that have that gray dark paint on it, and try to have as even of a coat as possible. So basically I am just doing very light sprinkles in different sections, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create like a really beautiful sky. And so the reason I don't want to do just one color is because I don't know, I feel like sometimes when you look up at the sky and it's like a really pretty starry night, you can see lots of different colors in the sky. So that's kind of what I'm trying to mimic right now. And I am gonna come back in here in just a moment with a very pretty black, just to add that like dark starry night sky. But so far, I think it's coming out really cute. Let me just show you. Okay, and then I'm gonna come in with obsidian and just kind of sprinkle in some areas. And this is really giving it that like nighttime sky feel. This is what our sky looks like, you guys. I don't know if you can really appreciate it, but I am absolutely obsessed. So I am gonna go ahead and just grab my little UV lamp that I got from CCDIY. Now, I get my UV resin and my UV lamps from CCDIY. I do have a discount code. I always link it in the description for you guys. If you press and hold down the lamp, it turns it on indefinitely so that it doesn't turn off every 2 minutes. I am just going to hold the light over my tumbler just for about a minute on each side. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move on and we're gonna do our snow. So I'm gonna take a dry brush really quickly. Oh my gosh, I have glue everywhere. I'm gonna take a dry brush and I'm gonna do it over here to the side over my trash can. I am gonna just brush off that excess glitter that is kind of sticking to the bottom, like the white part, you know, all of that glitter and then I'm just gonna do a little tap on the bottom of my cup just to knock off any excess, okay? And then also, I'm sure you guys can hear that airplane, but you already know, it's the Air Force. Okay guys, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my Mod Podge and just kind of do the bottom where the snow is gonna go. Now I am going to do the bottom first and try to wait to do the middle part last, just so that I don't contaminate too badly where I'm gonna be putting that white glitter. Because obviously I have to brush some of this Mod Podge over where we did our sky. So right now I am just kind of trying to do all of the white parts first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and bring my brush a little bit closer. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go all the way around and avoid touching that other glitter for as long as possible. Okay, so just make sure you get all of these little areas where all your white snow is gonna go, and hopefully you guys can see good. I think what I really like filming in this style because I feel like it helps me be connected to you guys and feel a little bit closer, but at the same time, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, can they really see what I'm doing? Like, am I giving them a good view? Okay guys, so now I'm gonna go ahead and kind of bring that glue up over that glitter, okay? So I am just bringing that over. Just bringing that over just a little bit, okay? And then I'm gonna wipe off some of this excess and then just kind of bring that glitter over. All right, I don't know, I think I have pretty good coverage. So the handle is usually the hardest part to get when you use Mod Podge, but the good thing is that you can come back and add more. I have my my bottom part where the snow is gonna go totally covered. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go in and just go ahead and just pour my white glitter. It's so freaking beautiful. I can't freaking wait for this, you guys. I'm so excited. Thank God for UV resin and that we're able to get this done kind of fast, because I'm excited to already see what this is gonna look like. Okay guys, so I kind of just ombre'd my glitter and this is what it's looking like, okay? Now it doesn't have to be perfect because remember, we're gonna use a tree line. So even if your middle isn't perfectly blended, we are gonna go ahead and put a little tree line here to represent like Christmas night, and we're gonna do our little SVG at the very top with Santa and the reindeer and the sleigh. So do not panic if you're not getting that perfect ombre in the middle, but you also don't want it to be a straight line. So I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. I'm gonna seal this and then we're gonna go ahead and add our epoxy. I hope that you guys are enjoying this tutorial. I hope that you guys are enjoying my little baddie Christmas tree. And also, if you guys like my shirt, I run on coffee and Christmas cheer. This is from my online women's boutique. You guys can go to the link that I'm gonna post in my description and you can shop all of these cute tops and sweaters. Today is Saturday, which means that yesterday, Friday the 12th, I did a sweater weather launch and released a whole bunch of cute things. So that's another really good way to support me if you enjoy my content. Go ahead and go shop and get yourself some cute things. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is how I seal my glitter so that it doesn't get all mixed whenever I apply my coats of epoxy. I do one coat and let it dry for 20 minutes, and then I come back with a second coat, and when the second coat is fully dry, I come in with my epoxy. Okay, my baddie booshkies. So I am doing 20 mLs of epoxy over this tumbler. I did 20 mLs of part A, 10 mLs of part A and 10 mLs of part B. Normally you wouldn't need this much for a small mug. However, since this is our first coat, I wanted it to be a very generous coat so that I could get it smooth enough to apply our decals after this first coat is dry. What I like to do whenever I have a mug with a handle is first I like to completely focus on getting coverage over the entire tumbler, and then once the tumbler is done, I go ahead and I dip my finger in the epoxy and just start getting as much coverage over that handle. I'm not too worried about getting the handle perfect right now because this is just our first coat. I'm more worried about getting a super smooth coat over the whole mug so that I can apply our decals. But as we continue to add layers of epoxy over our decals, our handle will get really nice coverage. So after this, I just hit it with my torch really quickly to pop a few bubbles. I cover it with an acrylic lid to make sure I don't get any dust or bugs on it. And then I just let it spin for about 8 hours. Let me put you guys onto an amazing little hack that my husband showed me. Now I deal with this anytime that I do tumblers with a handle. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of buildup
right in the handle, like at the top or at the bottom part. And those little areas are really hard to sand. So I like to use our Dremel, and that's this little thingy majiggy mabobby. It kind of looks like a nail file, but a heavy duty one. So what I do is I just pick the tip that I want to use. I push the little button, shove the little tip in, and ooh, that sounds kind of bad. Ooh. Okay, everything I'm doing here does not look good. So then I just make sure that it's secure, because when I turn this on, I don't want that tip to go flying and, stab me in the eyeball. So just make sure it's really secure. And then I turn it on the lowest setting. And what I do is I just carefully get into those little areas where a little bit of the epoxy has built up. And I just file them down with this so that it doesn't continue to pile up, because sometimes you'll have a whole pool of epoxy right there by the time that you're done, and it just doesn't look very nice. So because I'm going to apply my decals on here now, and after I apply my decals, I'll probably just do 1 or 2 very thin coats of epoxy over my decals to seal the tumbler. I want to just get this little epoxy buildup under control so that I don't have to sand it again. So as you guys can see, it's pretty simple. Just make sure you have a light hand and just go very slowly and very carefully. But I am telling you right now, using a Dremel will change your life. If you, for whatever reason, end up having a fupa at the bottom of your tumbler where it has like a lump or a bump, using a Dremel around that bottom part will also save your life. I'm telling you right now, when my husband told me to use our Dremel, I was like, why didn't I ever think of this? Oh my gosh. So he's a freaking lifesaver. Once I'm done with the Dremel, I take a 100 grit sanding block and just kind of smooth out those little edges that I did with the Dremel. And this is also the sanding block that I'm going to use to sand the bottom, just to make sure that I have a very smooth round bottom. And this is also what I'm going to use to sand the rim, just to make sure that it's perfectly smooth. I am going to be using very thin decals, so I feel like I'm going to be able to be done with 1 more coat of epoxy. That's why I'm trying to get everything as smooth as possible, because if I can get good coverage over my decals, then I will only need 1 more coat of epoxy over this, and that is exciting. So after this, I'm just going to wash this with water and dish soap. I'm going to dry it with a paper towel, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the next steps. Now we are going to apply our Christmas tree line. Well, I guess they're not actual Christmas trees, but they're Christmas trees, it's a tree line. Anyway, I got these stickers at Hobby Lobby, and they already come ready to go. All you have to do is peel the backing, and the stickers are transparent, so you cannot see like the edges. So it is incredible to be able to use these stickers, like super time saving. And also the tree line is the exact size for this mug. So I was super excited to be able to cut my time in half by not having to weed decals and, cut a ton of decals. So I went ahead and applied my tree line. I think it looks so beautiful. And then I want to do something kind of cool after this. Now, I am going to go ahead and just take my X-Acto knife and kind of cut around that handle just to make sure that I can get the stickers to lay perfectly flat so that my epoxy can go over them and they won't lift. Now, after this, we're going to do something really cool. We are going to draw our moon out of a white acrylic marker. I'm going to go ahead and link this acrylic marker in the description for you, but it's literally just a set I got off of Amazon, and I love them because you can draw whatever you want right onto your tumblers, and as long as you let it fully dry, you do not have to seal over it. You can go ahead and apply your epoxy directly over it, and it won't smudge or smear or run or any of that stuff. This is the only weeding that we had to do for this tumbler, and this is our reindeer and our sleigh with our little Santa Claus in it. And we are going to go ahead and place this in the little sky area, and we're going to place it kind of right over the moon so that you can tell that they are flying high sky high sky high, trying to deliver all of those toys to all of the children and all of the good, well-behaved crafters. Hee hee. And if you're on the naughty list, then good for you because you saved Santa a trip. So that's amazing. Anyway, I did peel up a teeny tiny bit of my moon when I placed my transfer tape, but that's okay because I'm just going to take my acrylic marker and put a little bit of dots right over where it lifted, and I'm going to let it fully dry. And now we're going to do something really stinking cool, okay? I'm just going to show you why it's so amazing to use these acrylic markers. I feel like it doesn't really feel like Christmas Eve if it's not snowing, right? Who doesn't want a white Christmas? Now, I was super nervous when I moved on to this part because I was like, this could look really cute or really fake and ugly. I wasn't really sure, but I kind of just added little polka dots everywhere. Literally just pressed the tip of the marker onto the cup, and I made sure to also do it over the tree line and over the white part just so that it would really look like it was snowing. And I thought it was such a cute little touch to add snow because, you know, a white Christmas, like Santa's, you know, on his sleigh with his reindeer and it's snowing. I just thought it was so cute. So I'm going to do this to the entire tumbler. I'm going to hit it with my blow dryer. I'm going to let it fully dry. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go in with about, I would say 20 milliliters of epoxy, just so we can get a nice thick coat over our decals, so that it can be our last coat of epoxy. And then after that, you guys, we are going to be completely done. I went ahead and applied 20 mLs of epoxy. We got really nice coverage over this. So this is going to be our final coat. I'm going to go ahead and just pop my bubbles with a torch. I am absolutely enamored with this tumbler. I think it is so beautiful. I think the epoxy really made the sky come to life, and it makes the snow look so beautiful. And I think the snow stands out, but it blends in just enough to where it does look like actual snow. And I just think that this tumbler looks like Christmas threw up all over it, and that's my favorite thing in the whole world. So I am obsessed with it. I'm going to use it for my cafecito lives that I do in the mornings. If you guys want to catch my lives and interact with me, please follow me on Instagram, because every single weekday I go live at 7:30 in the morning, and we start our day with positive affirmations and a little bit of coffee and chit chat. I will link my Instagram in the description. I love you guys. See you next Saturday. Besitos.